one thing for especially brand new buyers or people looking to get into the field, FHA loans.
If you find a property that needs some rehabbing and you're willing to go FHA 203K and go through those loops, that could actually be a way that you still put 3.5% down
And have everything paid for.
and have the whole construction paid for.
And sometimes even hearing the same thing from different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You look at things a little bit different that you like, I already knew that, but I didn't know it quite that well.
Welcome to the Cash Flow Bros podcast. My name's Todd.
My name is Jordan.
My name's Rob.
Man, and we're all wearing coats because it's been cold here in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Last episode, we talked about how our kids got so much time off, and they just loved it. But
Yeah, we did too.
yeah, we loved it too. So this episode, Jordan and I were talking, and we think that a little disclaimer, we're going to talk a little bit about to new people who are interested in investing, but probably have almost no experience or no research or zero kind of basis. So if you have, 5, 2, 3 years of experience, this may be an episode where you may not get as much from it, and that's fine. Now, that said, every time, the more and more I learn, I find that as long as I stay engaged, I always find a nugget. Mm-hmm. But it's hard because at first when I was, learning about real estate, I didn't know, I knew 10% and I was learning 90%. Mm-hmm. But now I know about 60 to 70% about things that are talked about. And I have to really engage to always get that extra 30%, those nuggets.
Yeah.
That's just a good life thing that I've learned about myself. So anyway, all that to say is we're going to kind of take you through the process of learning how to buy an investment property. So the avenues to do that.
Yeah.
And I will add to that even if you're experienced, things are always changing so we'll cover some things like, for example, we had a lender speak at our event the other week, and he was a conventional lender speaking on buying investment properties. And honestly, it's changed a lot. I think in just the last 2 or 3 years, as far as the possibilities.
I learned a couple things from him that I did not know.
Yeah, and you work with them all the time.
Yeah,
so,
I did not know.
Conventional loan, we work with conventional lenders all the time as real estate agents, and I've, worked with them over the years, helped clients, hundreds of clients work with them. But he really put some really great potential options out there that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
So we may cover some things like that.
You always got to be staying tuned, staying up to date.
Yeah.
And sometimes even hearing the same thing from different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You look at things a little bit different that you like, I already knew that, but I didn't know it quite that well.
Right? Yeah.
So
I don't own any properties. I don't know anything. Where do I start?
Well, first thing you're going to want to do, speaking of lender, is figure out your path to financing whatever it is that you're looking for. That's step number one.
A lot of people think like, I just want to start looking at houses. I need to find the criteria.
No.
It's like, where are you going to fund this thing?
Yeah, where are you going to fund it? I mean, you want to have an idea of kind of like the price range that you're looking for, but generally when you talk to your lender that is going to finance this property or properties, they'll give you an idea of you have the ability to purchase X,
right?
100,000, 200,000, whatever that ability is. You need to start there because you could be looking at houses that are way out of your price range or not realize that you can get better properties because you don't think you can afford it. And I think it's been surprising for a lot of even first-time home buyers realizing what they can afford is actually more than they ever thought it would be.
Right.
I'm not saying go be house poor or anything like that, but a lot of people are like, whoa, I actually qualified for a $500,000 house.
Yeah.
You don't want to buy at the top, obviously, but
you could have thought I can only afford 300K, 200K. Yeah. And really it's like, no, you could actually be at 350 and still live comfortably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the bank will always lend you more money than when I do my personal budget, I'm like, there's no way I can make that mortgage payment.
Yeah.
But they think I can. I don't
I think you can. You don't need to eat every day, right? Beans and rice, you're good.
Pull from some other categories.
Yeah.
You could do it.
So that's the first step is finding out the financing avenue that you're going to have. There's a couple of different options for that. the conventional loan, which I think I might actually do on my next purchase, is just put it in my name and do 30-year, fixed rate.
Now that would have to be because of Callie, right? Because she has the W-2 still.
She would help, but I've been in the business long enough now.
Oh, that
you need
could.
2 years of returns.
Gotcha.
So for anybody looking for financing, a couple of things that you probably not know is they want 2 years of tax returns. They want so it depends on the lender, but a few weeks of pay stubs, to show that you're still working.
And so that 2 years, my understanding, this is where, like I said, personal conversations with lenders are always important. But say you were a electrician for 10 years, and then you just made a jump into being a car salesman.
Yep, they don't like that.
They don't like that.
They do not like that.
So, but if you were an electrician and you jumped into being a master electrician or whatever it is, like same field, they'll consider that as like, or say you went from one company to the next, but the trade was the same.
Yeah.
They'll consider those tax returns, all your current status, all the same.
Yeah.
But if you jump extreme fields, there's no
continuity.
There's no previous to say, oh, you're going to be a great car salesman.
Yeah.
So how do we know that? You're a great electrician.
Yeah.
We don't know if you're a good salesman, so we can't trust that income as much, and sometimes they'll ask for more records or they may not approve you or different things like that. So those 2 years of back income and all that, it is also somewhat contingent on what field you did, how long your job status is, all those things.
Because Callie changed jobs on our house purchase a few months ago.
Right.
She's been at this job for, I think it's a little less than a year when we did that. But because she went from HR here to HR here, it's the same thing.
No big deal.
to them. But I've been in sales for so long. The thing about sales is I could go from completely different fields, but I'm still selling something.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different, but you can't go from HR to sales.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
They're not going to like that.
So one thing for especially brand new buyers or people looking to get into the field, FHA loans. If you can find anything up to 4 units, you have to live in one of them, no matter what. But that's a good way to get into properties that you can help house hack and be able to have some passive income coming from the other units that are involved.
Now, you cannot buy, if you were looking at a single family already occupied property.
Correct.
You cannot buy that with an FHA loan.
No.
But you can buy that with a conventional.
Correct. Yes. And the difference is really the down payments.
Correct.
It's a lot easier to get into an FHA home with less cash out of your pocket.
It would be so interesting, I wish I could have talked to my 20-year-old self,
Me too, man.
But like to go in it with an FHA loan and buy a duplex and live on one side.
I got friends that did it.
That'd be so killer, man.
It would be nice. Especially having it now that it's been 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
That'd be worth a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If only we had a time machine, things would be different.
Or like we have a client who uses, I know he's used an FHA loan. I think he may have used a conventional on his last 2, but he just buys a house every year in kind of a low priced area, but definitely up and coming, and just moves, gets some roommates, and then rents out the old one. And he's going to build a significant amount of wealth doing that. And he doesn't have a high paying job.
Nope.
He's just house hacking.
Yeah. He's just doing a great job.
Keeps turning the house hack.
Yeah. He's really doing well with his strategy on investing.
Yeah, he was in Eastlake, and then he was now he's in Roebuck.
Yeah,
right near
awesome.
the thing. He's pretty smart.
I think he's on at least 3rd or 4th.
I think I know. I was there for 2 of them.
Yeah, so there's one before that. So.
Yeah, he's got it figured out. If anybody can hop in early, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and he's young.
Just get a house that you're going to want to be. You're okay with living in, and just know this is not the end all be all for you. But that in 10, 15 years, if you keep this house, it'll be a good move.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to get in as a first-time buyer. Look for your own house.
Yeah.
If you can find a duplex or any type of multi-unit up to 4, then FHA is the way to go.
But you could still do FHA, but you would just have to live there for a year. And then you could move out, go buy something else, and turn that old place into rental. So FHA is still an option. It's just a longer pathway.
It's just longer, yeah.
And I think too, like to speak to this, like the real estate game is a long-term game. So many times we think short-term gains and we got to be successful overnight, and it's like no, just start with one step, and that's a great first step. Is go buy a house. If FHA is all you can get approved for, go buy a house with FHA money, and that's your first step. Boom, done.
I mean, just do it for yourself, and then just know like the plan is to keep it.
Yep.
And this is most likely a younger person's strategy.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're wondering, is this the right thing for me? Or if you're thinking, I've got 4 kids and we can't move into a 3-bed, 2-bath in an up and coming area. We need to be in schools.
Yeah.
We need this. So if you're thinking this doesn't work for me, what might work for that person who has like an established family and is maybe a little older?
I still think going the conventional loan route is the easy first way to get in there, because if you've got a W-2 or investing is not your primary focus, which if what you just described, it's not your primary focus.
Right.
You've got a 9-to-5 or family and all that. Still being able to get into conventional loans, you need 20% down, but it's very simple. You just have your W-2s, your past info, and then 30-year fixed rate. You don't know what it's going to be.
Which I guess you did with your previous house that you turned into a rental.
Yeah.
That's very much a family professional house.
If you're willing to move, you can take the route that I did.
That's true.
You got to be willing to move. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You just got to know that you buy the house that you want.
Right.
And then you only have to put 5% down.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
Well, and that's a good thing I was going to make that point, and this should change. I mean, that's why you got to talk to the lender.
Yes.
You got to have these conversations. I'm trying to accomplish X. Tell me what the current rules are.
We're not mortgage professionals.
Yeah, we are
want
not.
everybody to know
disclaimer. But we've done enough of these things and worked with clients who have. If you are doing a conventional loan and you want to put buy it as your primary, they are going to require about 5% down.
Ish, yeah.
If you go to them and say, hey, this is a second mortgage, a second home that I'm using as a rental property, they're going to require 20% down because it's not your primary residence.
At minimum.
So they're still both conventional loans, but one to buy as an investment, the increase goes up to 20%.
Because
typically may go higher.
It may go higher, and I think that's because they know you're not living there.
Correct.
So you're not taking care of it as if you live there, because you're not.
Yeah, the bank needs more leverage in the property.
Now, another loan that is if for somebody that's starting out as well, that I'm surprised Brett never did, was an FHA 203K loan.
Now we're getting real deep.
Now we won't go too deep on the rules and regulations on this. I mean, there's a ton of them. You got to have approved contractors and all those sorts of things. But it's good to know that there are options out there to go find a house that needs love. Carpet, paint, the things we always talk about that are not hard to accomplish. And the FHA 203K loan allows you a certain percentage of the loan amount to be used for rehabbing the house,
the property,
all wrapped in one mortgage.
What is that percentage? Is it fixed or is it a variable?
I think it's variable.
Okay, Rob, talk about just in general FHA versus conventional on repairs. So,
FHA. If you're using an FHA loan, depending on where you're looking. If you're looking in a very competitive area and you could choose between an FHA loan or a conventional loan, listing agents are going to like your offer a lot more if it's conventional, because FHA has special appraisers that look for specific things, and they almost act a little more like inspectors than appraisers on those FHA loans. They'll point out things like chipping paint that a normal conventional appraisal will not need to consider. And then those repairs have to be made in order for them to appraise, in order for them to make the loan.
Correct.
Whereas a conventional loan is not that way.
Not that way. So with the 203K, I actually have an offer, and I had to dig into it with Matt the other day.
Okay.
And
that's right. I forgot you asked me about that.
So the FHA, they'll do that same inspection, but on the 203K version, you basically just have to have a scope of work that says Now on the inspection, we will address all these FHA required loans with that construction part.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then what's interesting, and like I said, I don't know if then you bring a quote from a certified contractor who's approved, which I'm not sure.
I don't know what that process. I can't imagine it's easy.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they just have to be bonded and licensed, and
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But effectively, then we'll say that they come in and they say, okay, we got to fix all these FHA things. It's $7,000. Well, then that portion has to be the right percentage. But say they came in and say, oh, it's going to be 30 grand. Well, we may be up a river.
Yeah.
You know.
I think there's a max limit too. I
It used
want
to
to
be
say
50,000, I think.
Okay,
But
that's significant.
that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. It might have changed since then.
yeah. And see, I saw 35 when I was looking, so maybe that's what was the percentage. Maybe it's the percentage of the cost.
Yeah, and it looks like I don't know if we'll land there, but I am going to be talking with this 203K because
that'd be good to know. I'd love to
it'll
know
be
what
kind
you
of
find
interesting
out.
to walk through it.
Because
So,
I can't do
we end up
first time
doing
home
it.
buyer loan anymore, sadly. But yeah,
So if you find a property that needs some rehabbing and you're willing to go FHA 203K and go through those loops and stuff, that could actually be a way that you still put 3.5% down
and have everything paid for.
and have the whole construction paid for and have a rehab property
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of that road.
I mean, the equity that you build is insane, and you're only putting 3.5% down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A downfall to FHA though is mortgage insurance. It's paid
Yes.
up front.
Yeah.
And it never goes away on
Never
those.
goes away.
Yeah.
But on a conventional, you still have mortgage insurance, but it can go away, correct?
I don't
Yeah.
think you have to because it's 20%.
Well, at the 20%, but if you personally buy it at 5%.
If you personally buy a conventional like I did, yes.
Yes.
Then you have to get 20% equity for the
Yeah.
mortgage insurance to go away.
Yeah.
Correct. I did that on that house.
I did it on mine too.
Yeah, I literally just bought it, and it was like, okay, a year later, the market's gone crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to get my mortgage insurance gone. Okay, we just come get an appraisal. Got the appraisal. It hit. No more mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but mortgage, yeah, it just is the gap. So if you actually have an equity increase from the market shooting skyrocketing like the last couple of years, you could still be paying that mortgage insurance. You might want to reach out and say, hey, can we get a new appraisal? And if the gap has hit that extra 15% from your down payment to be total of equal to 20%, you could drop your mortgage insurance. And some of those are like 100, 150 bucks.
Yeah, I think mine was
yeah.
like $85
Yeah.
on what I had. There's your nugget for anybody that's been listening
Drop
been
your-
doing it for 2 years.
Drop
Call
your
your mortgage
mortgage.
company. Just say, hey,
See?
can we do it? You know, cost me $300, I think,
Yeah.
to do it, and over the
break
time of the
evens
loan.
4 months.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's
Dropping
exciting.
nuggets.
I'm just saying that's a nugget.
That's an advanced tip.
Some people don't know
That
that.
is-
I mean, I've got friends that have had houses for 4 years or so, and they had no idea. You just can call and say, hey, can I get a reappraisal? Well, if it's gone up, you should have an idea of whether or
Yeah.
not. Talk to a
Yeah.
real estate professional to see if the equity is there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
I
Continuing.
think those are the easiest ones for a brand new person to hop into. FHA 203K, conventional.
Correct.
Not in that order, because FHA 203K is probably the most difficult
Yeah.
out of those three.
So now let's say I'm a professional and I'm in my forever home. I'm not moving, but I do want to invest in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
What's my move?
You've got a couple options. I think probably the easiest one to break into, because you've got a 9 to 5, right? You're stable. You're going to stay where you are. The easiest one, outside of what we've already talked about with conventional loans, is probably to start finding properties that need love, like you would do with 203K, but it's called hard money or private money if you can find that. And that allows you to come in, rehab the property with somebody else's money, and then get ready to refinance it into one of the other options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one option. Probably the easiest way to get into rehabbing homes is just pay for it.
Cash.
12%,
Cash,
whatever the requirements
Yeah.
are from the hard money lender, your points up front, those kind of things. But that's the easiest jump in. And then there's the DSCR loan. If you're going to go purchase a property that's already got a tenant in it, and you don't want to you want to use the property as collateral and the tenant's rent as income on the property.
Yeah.
DSCR stands for debt service
Coverage.
ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it, people.
I can't ever keep up with that one. But I think the standard is 1.25
Mm-hmm.
of what the payment would be.
Yeah.
So what's a good example of that?
Well, and I think they will use they'll use a lease, and I think they'll even use like a rent appraisal,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then they'll reduce it by 25%. So if you have a rent appraisal or a lease for $1,000, they'll say your income is $750, and so then you need to make sure that if you divide 750 by your loan payment, the number is higher than 1.25.
Yeah.
If that's the requirement for the
Yeah.
for the loan is 1.25 debt service coverage. And if it does, they aren't going to look. They'll look at your credit, but they don't need to see tax returns, pay stubs. They kind of use that lease amount as the proof of repayment of the loan.
That is the pay stub.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
the loan.
Yep.
So that's another couple options.
And DSCR loans typically come with more points up front.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
points are charged fees that a lender will build into a loan to make their money for lending out the money. So they are making money on interest, but they also want to make money up front, because what if you paid off the loan 2 days later? Well, then they've done all this work and not, made any money.
Yeah.
So DSCR loans typically charge 2 to 3 points versus a, typical conventional loan can be half a point to a point
Depending on your lender.
on
Yeah.
the loan total.
Yeah.
So it's good to know. It is an option, but it's just
I'd say
more
DSCR
expensive.
is probably the more savvy investor versus, just the easy way to hop in. And I think that's why we kind of got to at the end of the list, is because that's not for the people that are listening that have never done anything.
Yeah.
That's probably not the route you want to take, in my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe if you've maxed out some of these other options.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think conventional lending and FHA are definitely, as a beginner, the way to hop
And what
in.
do you mean by maxing out?
So on the conventional loans, you will hit a point where they won't give you any more, no matter how much rental income is coming in from the other ones.
Yeah.
They'll say 10 is the limit for how many of these loans you can have.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are very,
Yeah.
very serious about that.
Yeah. And so some people will move on to DSCR loans, or they'll find a way to refinance out their conventional loans and then start over, kind of clear the slate.
Mm-hmm.
But that's getting, way down the line.
Yeah, that's not the
Beginner.
first.
You don't need to be worried about that, but
No.
it's good to know.
We'll have a podcast for that one day.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. So that's the basics of the lending.
Yeah.
That's the parameters
And commercial.
and commercial.
We haven't talked about commercial.
We have not talked about commercial. I thought maybe that might be.
It is a little more advanced, but it's good to know that that is a lending option. So when you're, buying a portfolio of a group of properties, oftentimes DSCR and commercial are kind of your two main options to fund multiples.
Yep.
Because they see it as a business. And then you can still, I have a commercial loan because of my employment status. I didn't have 2 years and all that kind of stuff. I have a commercial loan on one of my, just a single family home, because that was kind of what made the most sense. And the terms were better than a DSCR loan. I think the only thing that was negative about it, commercial loans typically, unless you have a lot of money and really, really good relationships with the bank, they typically want to be in the 15 to 20 year amortization, which does kind of kill cash flow. But DSCR loans some of them I've heard of going up to 40 year, but most are typically 30 year.
Yeah.
So they're willing to lengthen the amortization, which brings down your monthly payment, which allows you to cash flow property.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the one with the commercial loan on it, it doesn't cash flow much. It's basically just covering the repairs, and I'm calling it a day, and it's more of an equity play.
Yeah. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it'd be great.
I won't care.
I think that's a good idea for a future episode. Is we've got now buying your first property, but if we say taking your portfolio from 1 to 10, or
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the strategy there?
How do you get it?
It's
What are
different.
the different things you want to think about going that route?
Well, and I think, I mean, to be honest, like we started this thinking about the whole process, but I think we really need to just break this into series.
That's what I was actually literally worried about as we're
You
sitting
know?
here. I was like, man, we are going into these loans like that's just the beginning. Yeah.
But I think this is we've kind of laid out the clear plan for the 101 of how to fund a rental property, and next time we'll just do another episode where we talk about what is the purchasing process, maybe about. But yeah, like I said, our goal is to always bring value. And, that means sometimes we talk at a very basic level where we all started. And sometimes that means we talk to experts who are, how do you grow from 10 to 30, and hopefully pushing us even further. How do I grow?
I was literally thinking, how do I do that?
But yeah, I think this is a really good episode for someone to listen to that kind of encompasses like, these are all the strategies to fund a property. And that's the step one, because you can't go after a property you don't know your price range until you figure out where the money's coming from.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and one thing we did not mention, if you just have a lot of cash,
It helps.
you can do that.
Yeah,
too.
you can do
just
that.
buy it out.
Yeah. I was watching a video earlier
works.
about this. It's this guy that just makes fun of TikTok videos of people that are like, these mega millionaires and stuff that try to tell you how to be. Oh, I can make $1 million. That's easy.
Yeah.
You find a property that's worth $10 million, you buy it for $8 million, and then you split the difference there, and now you're a millionaire. And then this guy's like a plumber, and he's like, "Oh, that's how you do it. You have $8 million already. You don't even need it. You're good. That's how you become that." Yeah. No, you got to have a lot of cash to do that.
Cash does help. And it definitely, what I found with my portfolio in my real estate journey, it is really crazy how it snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somewhat in mindset, but it's also in your bank account and how one leads to the next. So our first property was the house hack. We had bought a house, lived in it for a couple of years, decided to move, and turned our old house into a rental. And then I didn't do anything with real estate for over 6 years. Like nothing. No additional properties, nothing, okay? And then I woke up one day and was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I think it's time to do this again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it took me 6 years, but I was like, I'm going to do this again. And I looked back and I started running numbers. I had so much equity in that property that I was able to put a line of credit on it. And then I leveraged that to buy another property and burr it out and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's just time.
That's
time
the key
helps.
to this game.
Mm-hmm.
And starting with one small step. If you don't own anything, go buy your own personal residence.
Yep.
If your credit's bad, fix your credit to go buy your own personal residence. Just take small steps and you'll look back 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road and be like, it all started here.
Yeah.
And so
I really
it's a
wish
journey.
I had kept that Bluff Park house, that 3-2. Man, that would have
man.
been really kicking myself.
It's okay.
But it started the whole thing, so it's all right.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this was enjoyable. Be looking for more beginner series. I think we might make this
that's a good idea.
little bit of a thing. And hopefully it's helpful to somebody.